What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy, Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. And here with my co-host, my guy, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. And that's really funny today, Spread. How you doing today, man? Draymond just threw you guys under the bus.
Yeah, but of course that got thrown under the bus too after the video surfaced punching Jordan. The NBA is so much drama, right? Because it's almost like those shows that you binge on Prime or Netflix, right? Because now the new thing is who leaked the video, right? And I mean, I'm just thinking like they could do like 3 or 4 episodes on one of these mystery shows of like we need to find who leaked the video, right? Did the owners leak the video because they don't want to pay Draymond, right? I mean, like, was it just someone who just doesn't care and wants to, it's like TMZ's like, we'll give you $250,000, and he's like, okay, I make $50K a year here, I'll do it for $250,000. So yeah, I mean, it's just been wild everything that's going on, and I was listening to someone this morning, I can't remember who said it, but they're like, and the luckiest person of all this is Russell Wilson, because we're all talking about Draymond, stealing on Jordan Poole instead of Russell Wilson stealing all that money from the Denver Broncos. Didn't get a good night's sleep. I woke up about that pissed at 2 a.m. I don't know if I'm more pissed that I bet it or that I watched it.
Before your life.
It's like the maddest I've been in at least a year. I mean, yeah.
I know.
Part of it was mad at myself too. I shouldn't even been involved in that game. You said it too on the breakdown.
Real quickly about Draymond before we get to the past, present, and future. One, Jordan Poole does run his mouth. Everybody knows that he does talk a lot bit more. It's an old saying my grandfather used to have this. He said, "Don't let your mouth overweight your ass," and that's what Poole does all of the time. He always is running his mouth, thinking it's just a game. Man, you can't be popping off at people, and you especially can't be where somebody walks up on you and you push them and you're not prepared to fight right after you push them, because after he pushed him, that means it's time to throw down because now you made physical contact with me, because Draymond just walked up on him in his face, which is still violating space. But if you push him back, you got to throw your hands up. I don't know where this guy came up from. I think he's from like the Michigan area. He can't be from Detroit, because all the dudes I know from Detroit would have been ready to get it on at that point. Secondly, Draymond has been cozying up a lot to LeBron James. He's been on his show more than often. They're considering themselves best buds now, which is really some LeBron is really getting them playing some really chess games with him, because he's busting up their team, and he knows that's the main team who Steph is his main guy who he's going against to win rings in this era, and Steph is right on him. You know what I mean? And so I think that he kind of playing a little chess and kind of broke their team up. He does like Draymond, but he also knows that him and Draymond hanging isn't good for the Warriors. I'm sure it pisses Steph off, because Steph isn't a big LeBron fan, as we know. Thirdly, the Warriors are about to trade Draymond. I don't know if he gets his wish and goes to the Lakers. They're so tired of his stuff, the GM and Steve Kerr. I wouldn't be surprised if they send him to Sacramento.
I don't think they would send him to the Lakers just because that's what he wants.
Exactly. He's not going there. They're going to send him off somewhere to Siberia or somewhere for doing that, because even though we know that, Poole pushed him, he could have handled him a little bit different. He could have grabbed him and threw him around a little bit, but the way he hit him, man, he hit him like a dude on the streets. That's why a lot of people talking about, man, hey, we'd have some problems. I saw Lamar Jackson, I had to retweet. He said it'd be GBG get back gang. Lamar was pissed about that, like, man, like those are we gonna fight every time we see each other when you do me like that. So Draymond, that seemed like it was coming from a place that was a little bit deeper than just teammates getting into it. Maybe he's ready to get out of Golden State. I remember he was one of the first people who really was talking good about Poole last year and was saying like he needs to start taking over the team more. But now we're starting to see maybe that he's getting a little irritated with him like he did with KD. Like, man, you trying to pull up and act like you're running something and you're not. And we also got to remember Michigan State rivalry. So I'll be very interested to see what happens in Golden State. And as you said, NBA basketball is just straight up reality TV. It's like watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians. There's always some drama.
You can tell on your timeline the older, because I follow a lot of reporters, a lot of NBA cats, the older cats and the younger cats.
Yeah.
Because the older cats are like, it's basketball. It happens. They're going to get over it, right? It's not that big a deal. You guys love drama. The younger cats are like, how dare Draymond do that? he should be kicked
They're
out of
so
the league.
soft.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
So
okay,
soft.
you guys are under 30. You're in your place of work. It's like before phones, this stuff happened all the time. People
happened
like
all
me,
the
you who
time.
grew up, we knew you all. It's just such a different world. They think they so protected because everything on video and this and that. And like you said, running your mouth, you didn't try to de-escalate it when he got in your face.
You pushed him.
Get away.
You pushed the man off of you. He pushed him hard.
Yeah, what does that say?
That's why
He's talking, you escalate. Now you surprised he got hit back? Unbelievable. So it's just fun. And hey, you know, maybe in 300 years we'll think that this younger generation is right. But when you're in our age group, you're just like, this ain't that big a deal. Like this stuff happens.
Draymond from our group. Draymond was like, you touch me, dude. You to push me. I'm about to knock you on your butt. You know? So
but honestly, I think they'll be fine. I don't think it's that big a deal for the team that people are making it out to be.
We'll see. It got to the media. It might be a bigger deal now because whoever that video guy is, if it was
because now Poole might be embarrassed, but I don't know. I mean, Jordan punched Kerr in practice,
but it never got out to the public. The only people who knew it were the local beat writers, and they just kept.
I'm just saying, who punched Randolph punched Ruben Patterson in a practice, and they were in the playoffs. I mean, this stuff has happened before.
Poole's from that generation, man. I don't know if he's going to be able to get over it. It might be a little, you know, situation where he goes and tell Kerr, like, man, I want him gone. And you know, right now, they'll take Poole over Draymond any day. So they feel like Draymond, I'm sure, is replaceable, and Poole is
the thing is, Poole kind of is replaceable too, in my mind.
You
a
think
smaller
so?
Guard who can score, that's like the easiest thing to find in the NBA.
Well, there we go.
I mean, Draymond is too. I mean, KZ Okpala is probably about the same as Draymond right now, right? I mean,
right.
I mean, it's not that. I mean, you're just a tough, hard-nosed defender. Okay, whoop-de-doo, that rebounds, right? We can find those too. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes. Let's jump into the past, present, future. I mean, you're not going to get the same fire I had last night, you know, and that's too bad for the sake of the things. But let's go ahead and start with the past and the worst football game we've watched in a long time. I mean, the game was absolutely terrible. I mean, the best thing that we did on the predictions was not picking a winner, picking a side, picking the under. It was you just saying this is going to be a terrible game of football, because it absolutely was. And I saw Chris Long on Twitter today, and he said, we're sick. We are all sick because we all watched that. It's like, you know, you didn't watch it.
That. You didn't see I tweeted that?
I wasn't on Twitter that much during the game until the end for the jokes, but we're all sick. And then, like, once you got to the fourth quarter, you weren't going to turn it off. It's like, well, we got to see what happens now. But boy, I mean, here's my main takeaway, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. I remember my buddy and I were Raiders fans, and when Arizona re-signed the GM, the coach, and Kyler, and all locked into this team, right? I was like, Niners fans are so lucky, right? Like, they're not going to be a real contender with that triumvirate. Like, that's not the best GM. It's definitely not a terrible coach. And you know my thoughts on Kyler. So whether I'm right or wrong, that's what our opinion was. I called him today and said the same thing. I said, scratch that about the Cardinals. We're lucky to be in the Broncos division as Raiders fans, because how are they going to get off this contract? Even if you fire Hackett at the beginning of the year, Russ is like, what, 32, 33, and he's like 7 years.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get off this contract. Pete Carroll looks so smart for how he managed Russ and then just be willing to get rid of him. I mean, the fact that he got draft picks for him is just absolutely unbelievable. Of course, you know, he's a good player. He's a hard worker. He could turn this around, but, you know, we're betting men. And if I were to bet, I would say no. This could actually like knock him out of the Hall of Fame. Like, it's
no, he's gonna bounce back. He's gonna bounce back. This is what happens when you have the inmates running the asylum. What happened is he got traded there. They got Hackett. First of all, let's retrace this back to why Hackett even got hired. He got hired for the Broncos.
For Aaron Rodgers.
For Aaron Rodgers. That's
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
After Aaron Rodgers ended up staying with Green Bay, that kind of foiled their whole plans, because they were expecting, and they might have got the same results, because it would have been the same thing with Aaron Rodgers running whatever he want to run and nobody checks and balances are important.
Can I ask you this though, real quick? Because I don't scout like you do. I read this, but I was reading some scouting this morning. I think it was on The Athletic or a different. I go to so many sites. I should do better at crediting these people. But they said one of the main problems is Hackett is trying to make him play like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a big dude with a big arm, and he can play within the pocket. Russ isn't big enough to play within the pocket, right? It'd be like, playing Kyler in the pocket or Baker in the pocket. You guys get these guys on the move because they can't see over the line a lot.
Exactly. You got that going. And then another thing that you have going with that situation, you're exactly right with that. He's definitely running the same plays that he ran for Aaron Rodgers, and him and Russell Wilson are two completely different type of players. Secondly, he's deferring to Russell Wilson. As you saw on that fourth down when they were taking forever, if you rewind that tape, I'll watch all of the communication. That's one of the main things. I'll TiVo and bring it back over and over to watch and see what's going on besides when these commentators are running their mouth. What's going on? Let me pick up the body language. What's going on? The coach was pretty much asking Russ on that fourth down, what do you want to do? How do you want? You can't be the head coach asking your quarterback, what does he want to do? Now, I can understand giving 2 or 3 plays and saying which one do you like better, but these are still choices that I think were going to be more successful for this play. You got Russell Wilson, who runs still about a 4.5. He's not fast as he used to be. Maybe a 4.6. He's probably a 4.6 on the clock right now. He's not as quick as he used to be.
I don't think he's nearly as quick.
But he's definitely still fast enough where you want to go on 4th and 1, and you want to go either read option and let him put a threat on the edge, and also have a receiver to throw to so you can have the defense think. Or at least you want to, if you're going to spread it, run the ball. You got numbers in the box now because they're spread out and the receivers running. These coaches are idiots. He ran a very difficult play. It's 2 bad things. I think that was either Bear Bryant or Paul Brown said they can happen. It's only one bad thing can happen when you run the ball. That's fumble. It's 2 things bad that can happen when you throw it. It could be an incompletion or it could be an interception. You know what I'm saying?
Sack. Or a sack.
So, it's definitely not the play to go to on a 4th and 1. You don't call, even though the guy was open. I know everybody on Twitter's, doing that Monday morning quarterback stuff and saying, "Oh, KJ Hamler was open." It just goes back to the call, man, and the culture of Denver right now.
I agree with you.
Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett will not make another season. This will be his only season.
What do you think, though? Does he even make it through this season?
He'll make it through this season, I'm sure. But believe me, next year, they're going to have to get a different guy. And if Russ is smart enough, he'll be talking to the ownership about they need a different guy because you know how he is. He's worried about his brand and who he is and the type of player that people are going to remember him as. And Russ can't go out like this. And the reason why he's seeing like, man, maybe I don't need to call the plays. Maybe I do need a stronger hand. He's seeing that he's smart enough to see that for himself. So they're going to bring in the right type of coach next year. And I bet you Russell Wilson look completely different because if you use Russell Wilson the correct way, like I told you, they're supposed to be running the old school Broncos offense like Shanahan used to run. Stretch with those running back, then pulling it out from there and going play action and letting Russ get on those edges, man, bootlegs and things like that. They're doing him no service by him being 5'10" and sitting in the pocket. You know what I'm saying? Trying to throw strikes. He's never been the most accurate quarterback anyway. Like, it's just bad football going on over there, man. And I told you I thought that the Colts were going to win. That's the only side that I would play on that game. I jumped in live and actually got the Colts money line. It was just too much foolishness going on. And as usual, the books had to put heavy on the Broncos. They put that number out there, made everybody go bite the Broncos. It looks like an easy carrot dangling out there. And, of course, everyone stuck their hand in the trap, man. But I'm getting more adjusted back against how these line makers are laying these numbers, and I'm ready to be very successful the rest of the year on this NFL.
I don't think a good coach is going to go there. They're throwing Sean Payton's name around. Do you think Sean Payton's looking at that? Like, I'm not going to go work with that guy. Why would I work with that guy when I can go to Dallas? I can go to Dallas.
Yeah, he's going to Dallas.
So I said, there's one man as a Raiders fan that they could hire that I'd be scared as a Raiders fan. Brian Flores. And he'd keep that defense on point, right? So you wouldn't lose any defense, and then you'd have a coach coaching. It don't even matter if he's not calling the plays. He's letting Russ know how the hierarchy goes. We send the plays in, you run the plays. Audible at the line, work that out.
He needs to concentrate on being a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Stop trying to be a GM. He's ruining his after career. He knows he's going to be in politics. You could tell he's a BSer like that. I guarantee he's going to run for some office or something when he gets out of the NFL. He's destroying his future with this play right now. He's really exposed himself as an arrogant a-hole, you know, and he's really living in a disreality. It's not a reality that he's in, thinking that he's this type of guy. Pete Carroll made, so you need to pay attention to that. Remember that, because he played football the way Wisconsin played with you. They made you a better player by giving you a running game, by giving you defense, and then you throw passes that were to your strengths, to the areas that you throw best, which are deep balls down the middle and out patterns. He has a strong arm. He's good at throwing out patterns as well. So Russell Wilson just has to get it together. And Nathaniel Hackett, we're going to talk about him later, man. I'm not going to even talk about him on Kick the Damn Extra Point. We just
It's like he automatically gets the award. Let me ask you one more question about this game before we move on. You're a better scout than me, but I would posit that Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are better weapons than Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy.
Yes.
And that's another reason he's not looking as good. Yes. When you have a guy like DK Metcalf, you just throw it up there. Now you throw it up there and it's getting picked because you're throwing it to KJ Hamler, not this dude that's like a physical freak of nature, DK Metcalf, who looks like a professional wrestler but runs like a sprinter.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And yesterday, what you were talking about, I sent this tweet out long before long. Like when the game was in like the second quarter, I was like, the sickness about us all is that I'm watching the timeline and everybody's complaining about this game, yet everyone's watching it.
Nobody turned it on. I didn't turn it off too either. And I'll be honest, I don't hate defense like everyone else.
I'm watching it off because of gambling. Whether it's fantasy, whether it's DFS, whether it's the side, whether it's the total, no one's turning off because of gambling. And that's the great thing about that the NFL has done by lining up with this gambling and understanding that this is helping their brand more and more. It's going to keep people tuned in, especially with the fantasy, you know, because people want to see if their players are going to get the stats, because the average Joe Schmo is definitely playing fantasy, you know.
And at the end of the day, it was fun. It was drama. I jumped on my timeline. I went to Broncos Reddit after the game, right? I listened to podcasts about it this morning. I was in the car. I went out with my mom this morning, but we had Jim Rome on the radio. She's laughing too. Like, she gets the jokes. Like, it's a nut, you know. I was mad that I lost my bet, but first I was mad because I lost. Then I was mad at myself for making the bet because I bet on a quarterback that probably right now it's bottom 5 in the league.
Yeah.
Just only use this year's tape. And I bet on the guy that might go down, right? If Jamarcus Russell is the worst draft pick of all time, right? He's going to be the worst coach of all time, right? I mean, like, throw Tom Sula and these guys out the door. I mean, just the
Tom Sula's way better than him. At least
I tell my buddy, talking to my buddy on the phone, in Niners fan, I said, this guy made Tom Sula look like a genius.
Like a genius, man. This dude he just wasn't prepared for this, man. But let's go on and get to the present, man.
All right, let's jump right in. And you have a couple things we're going to talk about. And I didn't send you mine, so you're going to get the unedited reaction there as I get them. The first game is Texas -6.5 over Oklahoma. Oklahoma, boy, didn't look very good last week against TCU, right? I mean, not the fact that they lost, but the manner that they lost has to really be discouraging there for the Sooners fans. If I'm right, that's 2 losses in a row for Oklahoma, right after starting 3-0. Now they face Texas in the Red River Shootout. That's the correct name.
They changed it. It's the Showdown now. You know, they can't. It was the Red River rivalry. It's been the shootout. It's been out, but they don't want anything with violence involved. Okay. Like we just talked about, this new generation so PC. They want to punch people and talk noise, and then when somebody smacks them in the face for pushing somebody, they get mad. So. So we're that generation. So they made them change the name, man.
River rivalry is a little catchier to me. But go ahead and break down this game. Help me get some of this money back that I pissed away on Nathaniel Hackett in his play calling last night.
Well, man, the Sooners, they're struggling right now, and with the Tua situation that's going on, I highly doubt that their quarterback Dylan Gabriel will be back. Dylan Gabriel, like Tua, is from Hawaii. Like Tua, he also has concussion history. And like Tua, he just got knocked out the game a couple weeks ago. And I think that what's going to happen now is with the Tua vibe that's going around sports about, head injuries and things, there's no way they let Dylan Gabriel come back. So that means that they're going to be stuck starting a transfer, Davis Bevel from Pitt, and this is a huge game to be walking into. This Texas-Oklahoma rivalry for a guy from Pitt who didn't even get much playing time there. And if they don't go with him, they got to go with General Booty. Isn't that the name of the century? I played against his uncle John David, and his brother was Abram, and Abram's son is General Booty, and he's the backup quarterback at OU. I'm sure he could play. Most of those Booty boys can play. Booty boys. Most of those guys from the Booty family can play, man. So um, I'm sure he can play, but he doesn't have any experience. He's going against a Texas defense that's been lights out. Texas in his 2 games that it's lost have lost those games by combined 4 points. Texas is a really good team. They're underrated. Since Gary Patterson came there, I know people saying he's not the defensive coordinator, but he's definitely having an effect on that defensive room. They're playing ball on that side. They're saying Quinn Ewers might be back. If he's back, I expect a lot from that Texas offense because they really looked good against Alabama when he was in there. Hudson Card's not bad, though, if he does end up starting. With the problems that OU has at quarterback, they're going to have a difficult time getting the ball to their playmakers, and their main playmakers, Marvin Mims. If he doesn't have a quarterback that can get it to him, he's going to really suffer. Their starting running back, I don't know if he's going to play or not. He's dinged up really bad. And then Texas has the best player running back probably in the country, Bijan Robinson, man, and he's going to be shining. This is his last time to play Oklahoma before he gets drafted, and I know he's going to want to put on a Ricky Williams type of show. So I expect the Longhorns to run off on OU. Honestly, they're going to be really motivated. I don't know if you remember last year's spread. We had Texas in this game, and they were up like 28-3 in the first quarter and ended up blowing the game and losing the game. So I think Sarkisian is going to really try to put the pedal to the metal on OU this year and establish itself and get his first win in this Red River rivalry. So we're going with Texas, man, -6.5. I already put that one in, and I also put it out on 97.5.
All right, let's go to Utah. Playing UCLA. Obviously, USC's in play as well, but this is huge for who's going to win the Pac-12. How are you breaking down this showdown? Maybe one of the last Pac-12 races we'll ever witness.
Utah's the best team in the Pac-12. They actually got USC next weekend, and I think USC is going to lose when they travel to Salt Lake City. But this week, Utah is going to L.A. They're going to be at the Rose Bowl, a venue they're very familiar with. They just actually lost the Rose Bowl in the waning minutes of the game against Ohio State last year, so they're going to be really motivated to get there. If you remember, we took Florida against Utah in the first game, but I didn't downgrade Utah. It was simply that it was a season opener, and going to Gainesville in the SEC crowd and stadium will be quite a huge task for any team, no matter how good they are. And the Utes end up losing that game to Florida in a very close one, but they did play well. UCLA is kind of like the Chargers, man. They're one of those teams that is step cousin of the city. The Chargers and Bruins are pretty much the same boat. So they won't have fans filling up that Rose Bowl. So don't be surprised if Utah fan base actually takes over the Rose Bowl and you turns to a sea of red. So I think Utah is going to be really fired up for this game. Chip Kelly has done a great job. He's won 8 straight quietly. A lot of people don't know that. He's doing a good job in Westwood. The last time UCLA lost was to the Utah youth team, 44-24. So UCLA will be motivated. They just aren't good enough, I don't think, to defeat Utah. I think Utah, this is their year. This is their year to get to the playoffs. I like what Coach Whittingham does. They're 4-0 against the spread in the last 4 in the Rose Bowl. I just don't think that UCLA will be able to out-tough Utah. I think Utah is just a too physical team, and their defense is too strong. They won't allow UCLA to run all over them like they did on Washington. So we're going to go with Utah -3.5 on the road. I don't like to lay money on the road like that, but I do believe on a neutral site field that they're a touchdown better, which would be the -6.5 if it was neutral.
All right, let's jump into Sunday. I've only made one bet. I'll give that out during the Ball and Parlay. Let me get your thoughts, though, on a couple of the teams that you know better than me. The Seattle Seahawks are +5.5. They're playing your Saints. Saints line 5.5 in a row. At home. My initial and my numbers have me to take Seattle, but playing against the Detroit Lions defense and playing against the New Orleans Saints defense is a little different here. Am I buying high here on the Seahawks? Is this a Is this another trap I'm going to step into if I bet the Seattle Seahawks? What are your thoughts on this?
As much as it pains me, I like Seattle with the points on this game. If I'm going to take either side, I have to go with Seattle. And the only reason why is just too many points to lay with a team like New Orleans right now who are struggling so much on offense. Like they're struggling really bad offensively with the Saints. You got Andy Dalton now as the quarterback. Jameis Winston, as I told you before, he broke some bones in his back, so he won't be anytime soon playing again. But overall, they've just struggled without Sean Payton calling the plays. Without Sean Payton calling their plays, they've been a completely mundane offense, no explosion. Really is missing Alvin Kamara, and we don't know how long it will be before he gets back because from what I'm hearing, he might not even play this week, So the Saints just this might be a down year for them, man. It's going to be a difficult transition for them going from having a Sean Payton who's such a genius on the offensive side to now you got Dennis Allen who knows the stuff on defense, but he's not the type of coach that's able to also monitor and help the offense as well. So that's going to hurt them. Sean Payton was smart enough that after he got in the league, he mastered the offensive side. Then he started digging and dabbling into the defensive side as well too. So he could, kind of know what was their weaknesses, and that's why the Saints went from being one of the worst defenses to being one of the best because he also started paying attention to that side of the ball. We'll see as the years go by if Dennis Allen can do the same and adjust. But right now, I don't expect much from the Saints, man. If they were smart, they'd actually start tanking and try to get one of these quarterbacks because that's the only thing that they're missing is a quarterback. If they could somehow,
isn't their pick going to Philadelphia though?
It's going to Philadelphia. That's the only thing. So the Saints are going to have to make a trade. They're going to have to do something like that in order to get a quarterback. Right now, they're in purgatory without a quarterback, man. They're really missing Drew Brees. And more than that, they're missing Sean Payton because when Jameis Winston had Sean Payton as his coach, he was playing a lot better. He was playing a lot smarter at quarterback and more efficient. So I do like Seattle. Now, we know that we could see the Geno Smith that we've seen in the past that turns the ball over, but he hasn't looked that way this year. He's looked pretty consistent. And as you said, they got real weapons at wide receiver. And most of all, their OC calls good games. Seattle has run really good plays. All season, I've been impressed by their playbook. So as much as I hate it, I'm a Who Dat fan to the heart. I love my Saints, man. I would have to take the points with Seattle if I played this game.
What about the Houston Texans, the city you used to live in for many years? They're on the road against the Jaguars. Jaguars are laying 7, but don't the Texans beat the Jaguars like every time they play?
They usually do have a lot of success with them. I can see them keeping it within the number, but on this game, it'll be another one where everything's about the under. This is definitely an under
43
game,
and a half.
Yeah, this is an under game because Davis Mills struggles to move the ball. He struggles a lot moving the ball. And Jacksonville has one of those young defenses. They're well coached, and most of all, they fly around. They're everywhere. The Texans also have a defense. I think they'll be able to contain the Jaguars' offensive attack, but I think the Jaguars score just enough. But out of 7 is a big number. If I had to lean one side, it would be Jaguars -7, but the play on that game is under.
The Philadelphia Eagles are the toast of the NFL. Now they're laying 5 against one of your favorite quarterbacks, Kyler Murray, and the Arizona Cardinals. What do you think? I mean, at one point, the Eagles are going to slip up, but this seems to be a pretty focused team. If I get a full effort, right, I like the Eagles laying the 5 here. But we know this is the NFL. These teams can't be on point every single week. It's just human nature, especially when you're having success, to kind of relax and enjoy it a little bit. At what point did the Eagles kind of start reading their own press clippings and get a little too arrogant? And do we fade them? And is it this week?
You said Arizona, correct?
Yeah, Arizona's +5 at home.
Oh, yeah, Arizona. Arizona might win that game money line just because, as you said, that 5 lets me know what's the setup. Are you telling me on a neutral field you're going to give up 8-point Eagles against the Cardinals? I'm not.
Okay. All right. Wanted to ask you one about that. I didn't circle that one as a betting one. I just figured people are going to want to talk about.
I like the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray, that game last week, really is going to get that team some momentum moving forward. He still doesn't have anybody to throw it to, but he is a winner, and Kyler does not like to lose.
So I'm going to have to start betting on him when they get Hopkins back. I think
Oh
Hopkins is
yeah.
getting underrated
Oh, when
territory now.
Hopkins comes back, they're going to go crazy for a couple of weeks. You know that. And
Yeah.
J.J. Watt has inspired their team with playing and him going through his hard situations. You know, type of dude J.J. Watt is. People play for him, so I expect a really strong effort from Arizona this week.
All right, finally, let's talk about the Sunday night game because everybody loves Sunday night football. The Bengals are +3 in Baltimore, taking on the Ravens. Juice to the favorite here. Might go to 3.5, at least offshore totals. 48. This is another game that I don't know if I'm going to bet on. I think it's really tough to call. Am I leaving value on the table if I don't bet this game?
Cincinnati, as I told you, I don't think Cincinnati is um, the team that they were last year going into the playoffs and making it to the Super Bowl. I think that my guy Joe Burrow is kind of losing himself in the fame, and I think he's having a good time, off the field a little bit. And those guys are having a Super Bowl hangover. We know about the usual track record for people who lose the Super Bowl. How they do the following season. I think this is one of those down years for Cincinnati. I think they struggle to even make the playoffs. And Baltimore has this going in their favor. I know that Cincinnati plays them well, but they have this going in their favor. The whole world was talking about Lamar last week and about that interception, the decision by Harbaugh. So I think that this week Harbaugh preaches in practice, we don't even want this one to be close like that at the end. So I think that the Ravens attempt to really put down a smack on Cincinnati early and then continue as well in the second half. And I think their defense is able to make Burrow turn the ball over a couple times, and we see an MVP type performance from Lamar Jackson.
All right, let's see if Lamar bounces back. And of course, as last night showed, no matter what, we're all going to be watching. Let's get to the future. You have some baseball winners for us. Go ahead and break it down.
Oh yeah, for the future, man, we're going to go for the World Series. Let's take the Astros plus 150. And the only reason we're taking Astros at plus 150 to get to the World Series is to cover our bet for the Guardians at plus 1100. I really believe that the Guardians and Astros will end up facing each other in the ALCS to go to the World Series. So if you got both tickets, now you're in a real good position to make some profit because now you have the favorite, the Astros, where you're covered, because you won't be able to catch up on the hedge if the Guardians at plus 1100 end up facing the Astros in the ALCS. That's why you grab them both now, and that way you're holding both the tickets. And that way when they play now, if you're like myself, an Astros fan, you could just sit back and make a small profit as you root for your team. But if you're someone who's not an Astros fan, now you have the chance to really make a large profit, but your ticket is also covered by the plus 150. So Astros and the Guardians to both win the ALCS, which means that they would face off because they're on opposite sides. And I think the Guardians today we took them. Spread, you took them with me, right?
Yep. Thank you
Yeah,
for
the
that
Guardians came through because pitching is what matters. They have a great pitching staff. They have great middle relief pitching. So I really believe that the Guardians can beat the Yankees if they get through the Rays. They get through the Rays this series. I think they can beat the Yankees because the Yankees do not have pitching at all. Great pitching dominates. It's kind of like in the playoffs with any other sport. It's defense first, and pitching is the number one opposition to everything that the Yankees got going on. The Yankees do not have good pitching. Their bullpen is horrible. So take the Guardians plus 1100 and take the Astros plus 150. That's two tickets, and hopefully they play each other, and then now you have a profit to make.
All right. I think we really are witnessing one of the worst coaching performances of all time for Nathaniel Hackett. So let's give it to him one last time, and then we're going to go ahead and just know he's in there every week. He's just in there.
There's so many things that I could say about Daniel Hackett. There's so many things. I'm just put it like this. If you watch football and you know football, you understand that Nathaniel Hackett deserves this award weekly. He looked so lost when the fourth quarter came and then they went to overtime. Instead of him taking control of his team, rallying them together, getting in guys' face, telling them what they're about to do, he's sitting back looking like a substitute teacher, asking Russell Wilson, who I guess the teacher left a note that said he's the best pupil in the class. Hey, what do we do right now? What do you guys usually do at this time of the day? That's what he looked like, man. And it was really sad, man. I'm sick of talking about this guy. Like I said, I'll just go broke because every week that he's the coach for the Denver Broncos, I'll be playing the other side. I'm going to make me a nice little shoebox, and I'm going to call it the Nathaniel Hackett box. And every time that he plays, I'm going to fade the other side, and I'm going to throw the ticket that I win inside that box and see where I'm at the end of the year. And I'll give you guys an update. But right now, we're looking pretty good because I think we're like 3-1 against him.
Yeah, he's been terrible. Let's jump into the ball and parlay. I'll start. A game I didn't talk about there because I was saving it for now. I like the Dallas Cowboys to keep it close against the Los Angeles Rams. One of the reasons the Niners always beat the Rams is because they're able to get pressure with their front four, and Matt Stafford struggles with that pressure, not the most mobile quarterback. If the 49ers can do it with Bosa and company, Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence can definitely get some pressure on Stafford. I think this Cowboys team went from being overvalued to undervalued, and we're getting another opportunity here. I know people like the Rams bounce back spot. You talked about the Super Bowl hangover. They're probably having the same thing with their stars and scrubs approach, and we've talked about it when we broke down this game, talking about what happened on Monday Night Football, that they're missing their left tackle and they're missing the over the top. This offense isn't the same. The Cowboys are rock and rolling. Give me the Cowboys plus 5.5.
I like the Cowboys. Their defense is playing good. Mike McCarthy has won a Super Bowl, so, we clown him a lot, but his adjustments that he's made, it's kind of one of those situations with McCarthy. You know how when you're forced to play a certain way, it's kind of best for you. I think Dak being gone made him limit the playbook. And so that's made it where he stopped thinking like a offensive guru, and how many points can we put up, and let's get Dak MVP. And he started playing to the strength of the team, which is the defense, and letting Dan Quinn kind of control these games and these outcomes. And it was a smart move. And I got to tip my hat to goofy Mike McCarthy for doing that. And as I said, he is a Pittsburgh guy. He's a tough guy, and he is a former Super Bowl champ. So he's not as silly as we try to make him out for jokes sometimes. So he's doing a good job, and I think he will have the Cowboys ready against the Rams. I'm going with Illinois. Illinois is very underrated spread. They're the best defensive team in the country right now. A lot of people don't know that. They only give up 8 points a game. They lead the country in points allowed. Brett Bielema's building this program in Champaign very similar to the old Wisconsin teams he's had. That's based around strong defense, big-time running game, and efficient play from the quarterback. They got Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito was at Syracuse, and he transferred over there, and he's ended up being one of the bigger pickups in the Big Ten. He's been able to give them a consistent passing game and leadership from the quarterback position. He's completing 70% of his passes. He's threw 9 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, and the best player on the Illinois offense is Chase Brown. This guy is unbelievable, man. In 5 games, he has 733 yards already, averaging 6 yards a carry, and has 5 TDs. Iowa is not good. I know they have a great coach. Kirk Ferentz is one of the best in college football. I'm sure he'll be a Hall of Famer when he retires, but he does not have the right quarterback right now. He has Spencer Petras. Spencer Petras is not good. He's not been good for 2-3 years that he's been there. He's completing only 55% of his passes. He's only getting 6 yards per completion. They just will not be able to put up enough points on Illinois to stay within this number. Also, Bielema being very motivated. The fact that he's an ex-Iowa player, he was an alumni from that school. He even has a Hawkeye tatted on his calf. So I think that he'll be very focused and kind of show Ferentz that now the student can outdo the teacher, because he also worked on his staff. Expect Illinois to handle Iowa similar to how they handled Wisconsin last week. They took Wisconsin to the whooping shed. Illinois is on a revenge tour. They've been getting beat by a lot of teams for a long time. They haven't beat Iowa since 2008. So I know that they're really excited about this game in Champaign. I think that they're going to be hyped, and I think that Illinois puts the smack down. So we're going to go with Illinois at -3.5. The books got a bad number on this one. Expect Illinois to win this game by at least a touchdown or more.
Plan on putting that in as we speak. So there you have it. Now you are ready for the weekend. Gonna get back on track. Can't wait.
Hey, man. You guys tune into the Wagering World. We're a little off on the schedule this week of other things going on. As I tell you all the time, me and Spread, we don't get paid anything for this. We do this out of love for sports and love talking to you guys. So we're a little bit behind on the shows this week. We'll do a better job next week of getting them to you on our regular days, which are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But today's Friday, and it's leading into the weekend. And you guys make sure that you lock these bets in and let's get some money. Anything for the people, Spread, before we get out of here?
I can't wait for this weekend. I want to get the taste of last night out of my mouth.
Hey man, it's gone. We turned the page, and now we're about to get some winners. I'm gonna text you over some games for tonight for Friday, and we still got the Phillies pending right now. We had a good morning on Major League Baseball with the Guardians. You follow my guy Spread at Spread Astaire. Follow me at 5 Star in Vegas. Spell out the 5. We'll see you guys next weekend. Best of luck to you all.